Welcome to Common Pitfalls. Today we're talking about instructors that give the same cues over and over again. And while those cues may be effective, it's actually more effective to vary up your cues a bit. So I'm talking about the actual literal cues you give, and I'm also talking about the type of cues you give. So this can be a variety of things. So let me give you some examples. When you're cueing a client, a lot of times new instructors will hear things when they're doing their observation or taking lessons, and they're really great cues. And then they copy them in their lessons. Now this is excellent. However, you don't want to have just one set of cues or one imagery or something that you use for that particular exercise every time. Okay, because each person's different. One of the main features of your observation hours is to gather as many cues, as many ways of saying the same thing, and just be this crazy walking thesaurus full of information and different ways of saying the same things. Okay, so also you may have one way of cueing the client. So you may always use verbal cues. You may rely more on tactile cues or gestures and audio or visual nonverbal communication. So you want to be aware of what style you lean towards, and at this point in your training I would encourage you to focus on developing the other styles. Not that the one style that you're good at is bad, you just want to be really well versed, because you'll get clients that are not going to work with that. For example, I had a client who I couldn't touch her at all. Anywhere I touched her, it would send her into fits of laughter because she was so hypersensitive, ticklish. It drove me nuts. I couldn't touch her anywhere. So I had to rely more on my verbal skills with that. We have a client right now at the studio who's actually deaf. So she can't hear you. So you have to use more tactile cues and nonverbal cues with her because she can't hear you. So there's lots of different reasons why you want to have a variety of skills and not be pigeonholing yourself into one area. So just use this opportunity, this information, to kind of open your perspective and utilize these observation hours and self-practice hours where you get to take lessons or rather personal sessions and gather those cues and experience those cues and then transform them into cues of your own when you're actually teaching. When you're actually teaching, try to expand your repertoire of types of cues and actual cues in as many times and ways as possible, both for your benefit and your client's benefit.